My name is Crystal Armand, and this is Living in an Excerpt for Environmental Science with Dr. Mahamdar in the class of ESCU 401 Environmental Science Policy and Management for Spring 1 of 2023. Carr et al. Talks about the suburban sprawl and urban flight that happened or began in the 1940s. In the 1940s, it began because the city of New York started to get overcrowded, and there was some racial tensions, and individuals started moving out to suburbs that surrounded the city, yet would still go to the city for work. Over time, this has created a continued pattern of moving outward from the city center. So we'll have the urban center, a suburb which has less densely populated homes, and then even further from that, an exurb, which is even more rural and sparsely populated. Unfortunately, there are some things that can occur that could negatively impact our environment from this sprawl. Before getting into the negative impacts that it could have on the environment, I'd like to talk about the specific exurb that we're going to be looking at within this presentation. This exurb is called Chaparral, and it's located within New Mexico. Chaparral, New Mexico has a lengthy history, well into its past. It used to be a part of a migratory pattern for the Native Americans. Over time, people began settling there and the population steadily increased. The town is situated between two counties of New Mexico, Doña Ana County and Otero County. Because of this, the population data might gather everyone as a whole, but in the Doña Ana side and on the Otero side, you can see while living here, it is very sparsely populated. In fact, there aren't really roads that go through the town, and only in the recent years, because of the population increase, has there been an effort to give roads, access to food, and better education for the children who are present. This is because as of the 2020 census data, there was 16,000 people living there. However, after 2020, there was a population decrease, making the number drop down to around over 13,000, closer to 14,000. The median age of the population also decreased to 29 years of age, showing that we lost a great portion of our elderly community. However, thanks to the increase in the population, more funding is beginning to funnel into the town to assist as it grows. Some of the negative impacts of the suburban sprawl on the environment would be that there's less arable land and a loss of habitat for wildlife and even plant species, as there's more development reaching into our natural spaces. When looking into the category of energy, it is less energy efficient as it takes more resources to heat or cool or power a home that sometimes is much larger than in urban spaces. Also, individuals who live in the suburbs and exurbs and still work within the city are car dependent and have to commute more, meaning that there's more emissions going into our atmosphere. In the category of cost, we see that there can be less access to health care, quality health care at that, the further and further we get away from the urban centers. We also run into issues like food deserts, where there is not fresh food or healthy food available to the population that is living further away from the urban center. Unless, of course, they live nearby a farm. Then there's the weather impacts of suburban sprawl. Individuals who are further away from urban cities are more impacted by extreme weather. Considering an example of a tornado coming through an exurb and devastating the community, there's not enough funding there to go and rebuild everything, causing displacement for the population. And considering how far it can be from healthcare facilities, a longer wait time could be critical in situations of natural disasters and extreme weather. There's also the poverty level to consider. And individuals who are in low-income communities have a lot of burdens when it comes to the environment, such as what we've discussed. While the general health of Chaparral, New Mexico is pretty generally well, there is an ongoing issue with the El Paso Electric Company. They have a desire to implement another structure to help their power plant. However, the structure they want to utilize to power it is natural gas. Unfortunately, we know that there are health risks associated with a power plant utilizing natural gas to power itself, among them being more air pollutants in the plumes of steam and smoke that billow out of them. It has been an ongoing effort with the community within Chaparral, New Mexico, to petition against this new move to natural gas, especially because in New Mexico, we have an initiative to be 100% energy renewable by 2045. Air pollution can cause a number of health risks, such as respiratory disease and cardiac disease. Considering this and the New Mexico Energy Efficiency Initiative, a petition was sent and they have agreed to a moratorium, especially because in New Mexico we have solar farms and wind farms are very profitable within our area. Profitable in the sense where we do generate a lot of energy from these solar farms and wind farms. Another local health issue going on within Chaparral, New Mexico is a community trash effort. As of 2021, it was noted that there were a lot of abandoned manufactured homes, trailers, vehicle trash, and even rubbish about. And so the community has banded together to get rid of any litter that is on the side of the road, and hopefully in the works within the coming years we'll be implementing a recycling program, because as of right now there is none. The people who live in this town are generally active, and you can see bicyclists, runners, and joggers going about for their morning walks and evening walks. And the community of Chaparral has a wonderful connective system. There's a developmental center for the children, a library that is under reconstruction right now as a community center, a park where so many families congregate, and even community clubs that everyone of all ages can join. And the beautiful thing that I have seen in the recent years is a growing sense of environmental literacy and being conscious of what we do that impacts the environment. Chaparral was an exurb that has steadily grown into a suburb. Amazing things have been happening within the past decade, and we can see a movement towards environmental literacy. Even within the elementary schools within the community, there's an initiative to teach the children about the environment, to make them more literate about their world as well, and to have a better impact on the spaces that we inhabit. This is a town that has been growing with a long history. And by looking at the growth here and the initiatives that are being taken place at this day and age, we can see a steady pattern even outside of Chaparral, New Mexico, and into the broader sense of the world. This is a story of a community like many others around in the world. We move away from those urban centers because it becomes too tight, crammed, and then we inhabit suburbs or these exurbs. But steadily we are encroaching on the habitats of animals and inhibiting certain wildlife plant species to grow. So we need to be more conscious about what we do when we inevitably sprawl out into these areas. So that way our environmental impact, we need to think about integrating and not taking over. Thank you for coming to my presentation. And also, thank you for your patience as I have laryngitis right now. And so recording was a bit difficult, but I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Have a beautiful day.